Good afternoon, Seawolves. Welcome back to another week of the Stony Brook Media Group. My name is Anastasia Poulos.
And I'm Richard Bolden. We have a lot to cover, starting with the deadly earthquake in Morocco. Anastasia will fill us in on what's happened so far. Anastasia?
Thank you, Richard. A 6.8 magnitude earthquake struck Morocco last Friday. Reports showed 2,800 lives were taken. Officials say the quake caused severe damage, as you can see. CNN reported that this is Morocco's deadliest earthquake since 1960, when an earthquake killed more than 12,000 people. We will keep you updated with this horrific story as we find out more information.
Maui residents are struggling to make ends meet, as tourists are not returning anytime soon. According to Hawaii's Department of Business Economic Development and Tourism, the tourist-centric economy of the island has lost $11 million a day from business closures, visitor expenses since August 9th. Ulihia Johnson of the Hawaiian Tourism Authority encourages tourists to visit while also understanding the gravity of the tragedy. The governor of Hawaii, Josh Green, announced plans to reopen West Maui to tourists on October 8th. Lahaina will remain closed to the public.
Now let's go to our reporter Sydney Riddle to learn more about how to prepare for the peak of hurricane season.
According to NASA, over the past 40 years, the intensity and frequency of U.S. hurricanes has dramatically increased, which is why it is important that students here at Stony Brook University stay as prepared as possible. Carrie Epstein joined me to explain how students can be best equipped and prepared to handle these storms.
Make a simple plan. What are the emergency phone numbers and contacts for your local area, police department, fire department, all of that stuff. Do you have an emergency supply kit, right? What's in that emergency supply kit? Basic first aid supplies. Should you need to evacuate your home, your house, or whatnot, where are the closest shelters? Is the shelter at a school? Is it at a local community, housing area or something like that? So if you have to go, where are you going? And the idea is to make these preparations early and try to do it beforehand.
Public health and weather officials predict that over 18,000 people have died from the effects and damages of hurricanes in the U.S. in the past 30 years. But you can prevent this by being proactive and thinking ahead.
Things that you don't normally think about, your grandparents are on home oxygen and it needs to be plugged in, and now there's no electricity. What are you doing? So what is the plan if things go south? So emergency supplies like medication and stuff. If you know that you take medicine, do you have enough? Do you have enough food and water stocked for maybe several days should you be in an area where hurricanes are, pretty severe?
Having items in your car like a change of clothes, comfortable shoes, a blanket, non-perishable foods, water, a good first aid kit with a full tank of gas can go a long way in times of need. And if you rent a place off campus, don't forget to check the rental agreement. You can check it to see if you are responsible for any potential damage to the apartment. Be sure to take pictures and videos of any damage that occurs. It can be useful for insurance claims in the future.
No one wants to live their life in fear and travel like every day is going to be some catastrophe and what do we have? What do you do? But those who are prepared will, do better in these types of scenarios and situations.
I'm Sydney Riddle, Stony Brook Media Group.
Thank you, Sydney. Now, we will have Zoe highlight some of the biggest international stories that have happened recently. Zoe?
Thank you, Richard. Many world leaders, including President Joe Biden, attended the G20 summit in New Delhi, India last weekend. President Biden traveled to Vietnam after the summit. India's priorities for the summit included a focus on the Global South and sustainable development goals. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping both skipped the summit, sending other government officials in their place. President Vladimir Putin met with North Korean General Secretary Kim Jong-un only a day later. In Libya, over 11,000 are believed to be dead after large floods. Mediterranean storm Daniel caused the collapse of 2 dams in the port city of Derna, resulting in entire communities being swept away. Authorities say the death toll could reach 20,000. Rescuers are working to find people in the rubble, and concerns are growing about a massive disease outbreak from contaminated water supply. 30,000 residents of Derna have been displaced by the disaster, and the United Nations has issued criticism of the Libyan government's emergency preparedness and response. Tomorrow marks 1 year since the death of 22-year-old Iranian Mahsa Amini. Amini was arrested by Iranian morality police for allegedly wearing her hijab incorrectly and died in a hospital in Tehran days later. Eyewitnesses claim Amini was severely beaten by the police. The death sparked some of the largest protests Iran has seen in years. Amini's uncle, Safa Ayeli, was reportedly arrested by Iranian intelligence agents last Tuesday. Reasons behind his arrest remain unknown. Some uplifting news from Turkey. An American man has been rescued after suffering a medical emergency in a cave. 40-year-old caving expert Mark Dickey was part of a research expedition in Turkey's Morocco Cave when he reportedly began suffering from gastrointestinal bleeding. Cavers from around the world banded together to carry out the rescue mission, and after a week inside the cave, Dickey says it's amazing to be above ground, but he will continue to explore caves in the future. Back to you, Anastasia and Richard.
Thank you, Zoe. The Biden family is making headlines this week. Could President Biden be impeached? Is Hunter Biden going to jail? Our politics reporter Daniela Rodriguez brings us more.
Thank you. Today we begin with this. Hunter Biden has now been indicted by federal prosecutors on felony gun charges according to court documents. He was indicted yesterday in Delaware federal court and is facing 3 counts related to the possession of a gun while using narcotics. The indictment alleges Hunter Biden, quote, knowingly made a false and fictitious written statement when he bought a Colt Cobra revolver in October of 2018 and unlawfully possessed the gun as a drug user. Now, taking a look at the charges, he is being faced with 2 counts of allegedly lying on a federal form, and a 3rd count alleges he had a firearm while using a narcotic. If charged, Biden could face a maximum prison sentence of up to 10 years and 5 years, respectively. Each count also carries a fine of up to $250,000. Special counsel David Weiss withdrew the 2 misdemeanor tax charges I told you about last week and will bring them to court in California and Washington, D.C., where the alleged misconduct happened. And House Speaker Kevin McCarthy announced a formal impeachment inquiry into President Biden on Tuesday, saying House Republicans have, quote, uncovered serious and credible allegations regarding the president's conduct and why this is coming to light.
We are committed to getting the answers for the American public.
A White House spokesman said in a statement, House Republicans have been investigating the president for 9 months and they've turned up no evidence of wrongdoing, and House Democrats are now at the president's defense.
This is an illegitimate impeachment inquiry.
There's more important things we have to do right now.
But an impeachment inquiry doesn't mean the House will vote to impeach President Biden, and even if the House Republican majority does vote in favor of impeachment, the Democrat-controlled Senate will likely shut it down.
Thank you, Daniela. In entertainment news, the VMAs were earlier this week. Let's head over to Allison and Miles for a recap.
Thanks, guys. The MTV VMAs have proved that once again, they continue to outdo themselves every year.
Each performer added their own flair to the stage. Olivia Rodrigo fooled the audience as the stage lights malfunctioned during her song Vampire. TXT joined Anita on stage to perform their new song Back for More, and Demi Lovato showcased a rock medley of Heart Attack, Sorry Not Sorry, and Cool for the Summer.
And that's not all. Shakira put on a very memorable Vanguard performance. She performed a 10-minute medley of her classic hits such as She-Wolf, Whenever Wherever, and BZRP Music Session number 53. Her energy was through the roof as she crowd-surfed and interacted with her fans. The sand rained on her as she showed that that in fact her hips don't lie.
Now for awards. NSYNC reunited at the VMAs since their last appearance there in 2013. They announced the award for Best Pop Song, which went to Taylor Swift for her song Anti-Hero. Little did she know that she would be taking home a whopping 9 awards out of her 11 nominations.
And some other honorable awards winners are BTS's Jungkook, who won Song of the Summer for his song 7 featuring Lotto. Rema and Selena Gomez won Best Afrobeats Award for their song Calm Down, and much more.
Congratulations to all the winners who took home awards this year. Everyone looked amazing on the pink carpet, and I think my best part of the show was when Diddy and Keisha Cole sang their remake of their song. I really thought that was a really strong performance.
I think so too. For me, I think it was Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion's performance for their song Bongos.
Yes.
It was a really good one.
Really good.
Back to you guys at the desk.
Now we have Mike joining us for a recap on this week's biggest moments in sports. Mike?
Thanks, Anastasia. The NFL's opening weekend wrapped up on Monday night in a wild showdown between the New York Jets and the Buffalo Bills. Though the Jets came out on top, they lost future Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers on just the 4th play of the game when his foot got pinned in the turf while being sacked. Rodgers was confirmed to have torn his left Achilles tendon, which will keep the soon-to-be 40-year-old quarterback out for the remainder of the season. The injury leaves Rodgers' NFL future in doubt. However, he took to Instagram on Wednesday to say that he will rise again. He announced on Thursday that he successfully underwent surgery to repair the muscle. Rough weekend for Jets fans, guys.
Man, you ain't lying. You know what? You'll recover. Don't you worry.
Thank you, Richard.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Stony Brook Media Group show. I'm Richard Bolding.
And I'm Anastasia Poulos. Have a great weekend, Seawolves.